Hello, and welcome back to another episode of More Than Milestones. I am joined today with a guest that was already here as her part in Expecting and Empowered, but she's now back just as my friend Amy, probably like my only, I shouldn't say only, but like my closest, most trusted social media met friend, Amy Kiefer. So, Amy, tell us quickly a little about yourself. How can people find you? Where can they find you when they fall in love with you after this episode?
Yeah, well, I am on a lot of places on the internet. So I own Expecting and Empowered with my older sister, Crystal. It's a pregnancy postpartum workout app. I have a podcast, which you were on years ago. That's called
Years.
Herself Podcast. And then it all kind of started with my personal Instagram account, which is how we met. And that's at
Mm-hmm.
Ames Kiefer, it's been so many different things, but I would say currently it really focuses on, just my life as a mom of three really active school age boys. I share a lot of clothes. It's just kind of whatever. And I love that space because it just lets me really be me and like share whatever is going on in my life. If I'm comfortable with it, I share it.
Totally. And you also, though, are in the process of building your forever home, and you have an Instagram related to that too,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
you?
If there's one thing about me, I will start a LLC and I will start an Instagram account and I'll just see how it goes.
I love it. I love it. So, yes, that just so everyone knows the expectation of this episode, it is literally like just us chatting, because I feel like one thing that I was so curious about before being in this space was like the reality of social media and like being on social media. What, like, who's really friends with who? Like, how do you know? How, like, what's it really like? Is it really profitable? And I feel like there are conversations that a lot of people don't have because some of them might be like uncomfortable or taboo. So the expectation is just, we're just going to be chatting. But here's a funny backstory for you to kick this off. So I was like such a fangirl of Amy on Ames Kiefer. And I literally would like and this was like probably like 2019. I would like religiously watch your stories. I have no idea how I found you in the first place, but you were like one of the only like influencers that I was like just so drawn to you. And do you remember that I DM'd you about keratosis pilaris, and I was like, you have to try this thing, and you responded, and I could have had a coronary. I was like, oh my God, she responded to me. This is so cool. And then I don't feel like that's really where we started talking though, is it? Like, I feel like, do you remember?
So I don't remember that one, but I definitely remember when you reached out and you said you were starting Milestones in Motherhood. You said that Expecting and Empowered was a huge inspiration to you. And basically, you wanted to make a similar product for babies, toddlers, kids, which you do. We just, from the beginning, I remember helping you with your stories. Like, I was like, that's the ugliest background I've ever seen. And you truly have to change that immediately. No one's going to follow you if they come and it's a rainbow colored background. So I feel really lucky because I've truly seen the start of your business. Like, start of it, you had low thousands of followers, and to see where you are today. But the coolest part, which you mentioned a little bit, is I've seen the behind the scenes. Things that we could never say on the podcast. Truly the hardest things that you've gone through, the happiest things, both of us adding more kids to our family. Like, we've really seen the behind the scenes to it all. And I do think that every person in the influencer space needs a person or two that knows they're behind the scenes and like
Yeah,
gets them in the
absolutely.
way.
And
Because
I
it's
think
beyond helpful.
Yeah, and I also think it's like such a big part of social media is like the wild, wild west. Like, there's no rules. There's no, like, nobody really knows what they're doing. Like, we're just kind of rolling with changing algorithms and all of these things that are shifting. And I feel like having you and having someone that I know I can be like, this feels really hard right now. Like, I don't know that I can continue doing this. Like, how many times have I messaged you and been like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just want to get a regular job, go home, come home at the end of the day and be done with it. And I feel like you have been such an encouragement to like not give up and not let those bad situations and those like mean girls, if you will,
Yeah.
or like the cattiness that can be social media that I think a lot of people probably like anticipate but don't necessarily like understand the depth of. Having someone that like gets it, I feel like has saved me and Milestones in Motherhood quite a bit. And do you remember, I'll never forget this, do you remember I text you about having a third, and I was like in the thick of it with three really little kids. And I was like, when does it get better? Like, when am I going to stop feeling like I am literally drowning? And I'm pretty sure you were like 18 months. Like, 18 months is your window. Like, if you can get there, like, it's just going to get better and better and better. Like, they're going to be walking, they're starting to communicate a little bit. Or maybe you said 2 years. Do you remember?
Well, I think given the context of your situation, I just wanted to get you to like that first bump where I feel like it did get a little bit better. I remember that really well. I think that every mom needs a friend that can be really honest because you were, really struggling. Had it was stuff that I had been through. Like I'm really open on the internet about I've experienced mom rage. I've talked about that. And like it is kind of I don't want to say embarrassing, but it feels just
Shameful.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I said, I have absolutely been through this. I had to go to therapy. It was the hardest time of my life, like having a third kid and going through some really hard stuff in my personal life. And I think if we can just reach out to each other and be like, I've totally been there, it does get better, but meet them where they're at instead of being like, my real honest answer for people when they ask me, I'm like, I think when the youngest is 4 years old is when I really felt like I could get my like really feel like myself, but there were pockets of times and there's good times before that. It's like don't
Totally.
wish the time away, but it is really hard to have multiple little kids at one time.
Yes, totally. I feel like too that's like you've kind of I actually would agree with that. I would say like 3 was a little bit more for me when I actually was like I just felt like I could take a deep breath again. Like I felt like that was my point where like I could start to like I picked reading back up. It was like I felt like I had the mental bandwidth to be like, okay, like what do I actually enjoy? What do I like to do? Like, do I want to exercise? Do I want to like pick up these hobbies? And I think it's just gotten more and more so. But you're totally right. Like I think having someone who's just gone through it right before you, which is exactly what you were. Like your oldest is how old is Max?
9.
And so Odd is 7. Yeah. So we were
Yeah.
literally like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, right? Same, the boys are the
Mhm.
same gaps ish. So like I have consistently looked to you for like hope, like not even directly texting you, but just like seeing your stories, seeing like what you're sharing, how it is as the boys have gotten bigger. I've definitely looked at that as like a beacon of like, okay, in those hard moments, like I'm going to get through this. It's going to get better. Like, and I feel like for me lately, realizing how cool big kids are has been so helpful in not feeling so much nostalgia for what is already behind me, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I love big kid years or school age years. And I think that especially those of us that came up on Instagram, it was like the idea of leaving the little kid years behind, everyone made it seem so sad. And there is that part of it. Like, I think for every person that loves having kids, like to leave that phase of life is going to be nostalgic and sad and bittersweet. But I just wish someone ahead of me would have been like, this is also so awesome because Drew and I
Yes.
always talk about we're having the time of our lives. Like all of our kids can go to a restaurant, sit down, eat. They're not perfect, but we can do it. We don't have to pack a diaper bag. We're just so on the go and so happy and doing things that the whole family loves. And it's really fun.
I love that. I love that. I think too, like for me, there was a big period where I really felt so sad about being done with the baby phase. I desperately was like, I want a fourth. Like
I remember that
it
text message.
Yes, there had to have been 100 of them because I was, like, unhinged, like, I was longing for it, but
Mhm.
when I really, like, stepped back and was like, "What is it that I'm longing for, though? Do I actually want another addition in our family, or do I want, like, a chance to redo the years that, like, maybe I feel like I wasn't present enough because it was COVID and it was crazy and it was, launching a business and all of this stuff." Like, do I just want another chance with my kids? And I can do that right now if that's the case, or like, do we want an actual addition to our family? And I feel like you and I talked so much about that
Mhm.
because I know 3 was like a hard line for you guys. Like you felt pretty sure about that, or was there ever a point where you were like, I don't know?
And I just had no choice. My husband, Drew, who's an amazing man, he only wanted 2. So 3 was a huge I mean, I can't tell you guys how many tears I shed begging him for a 3rd child because he was
How did
pretty.
you actually get him to come around?
I think that we did a good job of communicating. He was like, "I'm done. I'm having 2 kids." And I said, "Well, wouldn't that be great if it was only your decision? It's my decision. So the conversation isn't closed. Like, I'm not willing for this to be closed." It wasn't saying I was going to get my way, but I just didn't like his approach to it was very cold and like, I can't do another kid. And I said, I just want you to stay open because I just feel like in my soul, I want one more child. So we just talked about it for months and months. And often I would cry because it felt so big to me. And it is, it's a baby, it's a kid, it's an addition to your family. And then on my birthday in 2018, that would have been, he made me a card and he said, "I want your dreams to come true. Like I'm willing to have a 3rd baby with you." And he just said he knew that for me it was so important and such a dream for me that he just felt like for him he could compromise and like see it my way. So yeah, it was I don't think people publicly talk about the decision of if they're lucky enough to get to decide, can we expand our family? For some couples, it's really hard to come to a number of kids that they can agree on.
Totally. And Jay was also hard stop after 2. He is one of 2 and I'm one of 3 and I'm the baby. And I was like, I wouldn't be here if my parents stopped. Like, and it was a lot of conversations for us too. And I really I feel like part of it was very similar in him just like realizing how much it meant to me and that like this wasn't just something that I was like, I want a puppy. Like this, I was like, I understand that this is a whole another human that we're bringing into like our family, but our family just really didn't feel complete to me. And I feel like now, obviously, he's like, oh my God, of course, Goslin's the best
Yeah.
thing ever, you know? It's hard to imagine it any other way, but 3 was a hard stop. Like that he was booked to have his vasectomy like before I left the hospital with Austin because that labor and delivery was horrible. And at that moment, I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm done. I don't ever want to do this again. And now in hindsight, I'm like, man, I wish I had waited just a little bit. But
The thing
yeah,
for
it's
me is because I had convinced him and I knew he was pushing his limit, I just thought, how unfair would it be if I then reopened the conversation and did that to him again when I knew, he just has one brother. He's got a perfect little family of 4. They all get along really well. I'm from a family, I'm one of 6. I'm in the middle. My whole life has been chaotic. So I'm so used to the chaos that kids bring into a family. But Drew isn't, and he is more particular and he likes things a certain way. So it was kind of nice that it was a hard stop because then my mind never went to, are we done yet? Like, can we have one more? It was truly, I soaked in our youngest Cole's, his baby year, and his every single thing because I knew it was my last time. And there was something really cool about that.
yeah, I love that. And I think too, like part of me, I don't I thought for a long time, and maybe this is like something that social media convinced me of, but I thought for a long time that I would like know when I was done. Like
Yeah.
I would be like, I absolutely like, I do not want another baby. Like we're done. And I don't now being 4 years out from the baby stage, I don't know that I'll ever feel that way. Like I think I'll always, I don't know.
Because
I
how old?
just, they are 4, 5, and 7.
How old are you?
Oh, me 36.
Okay.
So
So
I've got
I'm
like
30.
another 4 years of dreaming and
Yeah.
and hoping, but
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
It would be a big play. It would be a good storyline.
Holy cow.
Your
Yeah,
heart
well,
felt to me.
literally at one point, I was like, because as soon as he got, this might be TMI for a podcast, but as soon as he got his vasectomy, I stopped tracking my cycle at all
Mhm.
because it's always been consistent. And there was one time that for some reason, my period was like, it was like over a week late, and that never
Mhm.
happens to me. And I took a test and I walked away because I was like, there's literally no way. Like he had a vasectomy. We
Yeah.
followed up. We did everything we were supposed to do afterwards to check. Like there was no way. And I left it for so long that it gave a false positive. And in that moment, even though I was like, okay, maybe it's meant to be, I saw that false positive, and I remember texting my best friend. And I was like, "You got a sec to like spiral with me because I think this pregnancy test is positive." And obviously, it wasn't. But like that was definitely eye opening to think that it was a possibility. But anyway,
Babe,
I don't know where I was going with
I've taken like 4 pregnancy tests since he's had his vasectomy.
that.
I'm
I
like, "So
believe
you're
it.
sure?" Maybe. I mean, it does happen. It's a very low chance, but if I'm 4 days late, because 'cause I'm very regular too, if I'm 4 days late, I pop a test. And I'm
Yes,
like,
yes.
"Is this happening? Are we doing this?"
Yes, and it does happen to people. Like even Jay was telling me, somebody he knows. I
Mhm.
think their oldest was like 20, and he'd had a vasectomy for like literally well over 10 years, and they started over with an unexpected baby
Yeah,
that is most certainly his. Like
yeah.
that is that it happens, but I think it happens more if you don't go back for like the 3-month follow up
Right.
or whatever.
Right, but there is something called recanalization where the sperm, because when they still are is this too much for a podcast?
I don't know. I'm like we're go full send. We're going for.
True. And then the canal reconnects.
But
I'm
I
not
think.
for that. I just know that that really does happen. It's like, probably 1 in a million, but someone's got to be the
That's
one.
crazy. Okay, let's talk about social media because I feel like that's the juice that people are really going to want to hear. And I feel like I have learned so much about you or so much from you about my ability to navigate social media and not be so, what's the right word? Like blindsided, I guess, by like my expectations of people and then having things like completely unfold in a different way and being like, "Oh, that sucked," you know? And I feel like you've been a big part of like my anchor for a lot of those situations. But like, how has your experience on social media been in general?
Well, it's really interesting because I feel like any of us that are going to stay in for a while, you really have to mature through the process. And so in the beginning, when someone would say something mean to me, you get a DM and they call you a name or they say, your husband probably thinks you're so annoying or whatever they say, it would really make me spiral, to be very honest, in the beginning, because no one wants to hear mean things about themselves or see mean things about themselves. But then I realized like I have to if I really like social media. That's where we're slightly different is I I really enjoy being there. I know you enjoy it too, but I enjoy it like I truly don't feel like it's a job sometimes. Like it's just
Mm.
I've always been a storyteller. I like love I share things with my friends in real life that I love. It's just always been what I do. So I knew if I was going to stay in this career, I did have to figure out ways to help myself through those tough messages and those tough times because I didn't want to give my energy away that easily. Like if someone could make me spiral, it's kind of on me. Like our energy as moms and wives and business owners and friends, it's so precious. So I can't have a day where, I'm just giving in to someone saying something mean about me. But that's a learning process. Like you just have to get better and better at it. And then I've just really evolved over time where I used to sometimes post those mean messages and like do a little clap back. And, you get the reassurance from so many of your followers that, no, no, you're so great. You're so nice. Like, and then I just started thinking about that and I was like, wait, am I posting this because I need a bunch of people to tell me that it's not true? What if
Mm-hmm.
I just believed it wasn't true? Like, wouldn't that be enough? So I've really made my page and my businesses a place where I really don't do like the clap back or I don't do sassy messages or anything like that because I just decided it's just not worth my time and energy. And I also had to grow up and be like, okay, I also listened to this one podcast. It's by Cara Lowenthal. She's amazing. And it was all about defensiveness. And she said, when we feel really defensive, it's because there's a little tiny part of us that believes what the person said or
Mm-hmm.
believes that it's true. So, like, they can hit us with something. And it's like, if it makes you feel defensive, that's when you truly go on the internet. You want to defend yourself. You want to say, and then I really believe that what I needed to do was mature and slow down and it's so easy to fire off a message in stories, but it's harder to just sit with yourself and work through it privately rather than doing it publicly. So I think those are
Yeah.
like the key things I've learned over time. And I didn't get it. None of us would, but I did not get that perfectly. Like I've grown and evolved to where I am today, where if you send me a mean message, it's not going to make me spiral.
Motherhood takes energy, and staying hydrated is key. That's why I love Element. It's a tasty electrolyte drink mix that gives you everything you need: sodium, potassium, magnesium, without sugar or fillers. I use it every single day, from after workouts to busy mom days and everything in between. Right now, Element is giving my listeners a free sample pack with any purchase, which gives you 2 of each of their signature flavors, so you can figure out what you love the most. Just head to the link in the episode notes below to get started. And for the record, the lemonade salt is unreal, but they are all so dang good. You'll thank me later. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel like that was one of the biggest things that you supported me through, because I am so sensitive, and like
Mhm.
there have been times where I felt so misunderstood or my words were twisted, and I'm like the desire to defend myself like was so strong. And it's still like I feel like, first of all, I'm extremely lucky in that, like, and I think you have the same experience. Like, those messages are so infrequent. Like, they are so few and far between, but it's really hard to not focus on them when they come, even though there's like, to that one mean message, there might be like 1,000 really kind, like positive ones. But it's like that, especially if it's something that is like, again, like you said, like an
Yeah.
insecurity of mine, that they like hit the right spot. I recorded a solo one episode of this for like the private community, and I shared about what happened with Reddit. And I like,
And
you
I
were
was like, are you
obviously,
there?
well,
I could
I
tell
don't,
you where I was when Casey found Reddit, because I remember your
dude,
first text
that
message and
was that changed everything for me. It
yeah.
literally, I mean, for like 3 years, that like shook me to my core, and I pulled back. And like, I feel like this podcast
Mhm.
is like the first time that I'm like taking my voice back, because a lot of the growth for me has been like, people are going to misunderstand me. Like, people are going to interpret it however they want to, based on what's happening with them, based on what's going on in their life. And like that, I feel like I had to get to the point where I was like, I am not, this is who I am. Like, this is 100% genuinely me. Like, the way I show up on stories, the way it is not fake. There's no veil to be pulled. Like, this is literally me. Take it or leave it. And like, I feel like I had to learn, or I had to really like decide and stand in that, like, I wasn't gonna let it change me. I wasn't gonna let it like shift my heart or harden me or make me like not trust people. So we'll see how the podcast goes. I might be pulling this down in like 5 minutes, but
So for those of you that don't know, Reddit is a place where there's these snark boards and they're about influencers. So you can go in there and everyone's talking about, the big influencers. There's a lot of different categories. And so basically it's like in Mean Girls, the burn book, when you're reading mean things about yourself. And we didn't know it existed until someone that you knew told us about it. And then we saw it.
yeah.
I think it was a really good growth opportunity to go from like completely spiraling about that to where we both are today, which is, the thing about it is not everyone is going to like either of us. Like that's just the facts. We don't like every single person. That's just how it is. There's no reason to go seek out what the people that don't like you are going to say about you. Number one. Number two, you just have to think of who you're taking criticism from. Maybe women that are talking about women in a board, like, do you find their criticism valid? I mean, sometimes they do say things where I'm like,
I
oh no.
know. Sometimes they're funny.
Yeah. Like it, I think there's different types of snark. Like some of it is funny and some of it isn't. Like some of it is absolutely not bullying. It's just,
Yeah.
she used to say this and now she says this. I'm like, honestly, great point. Like, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
Fair.
But some of it is like mean-hearted, mean-spirited. And I just think, that's not the type of like friend I would want to make. That's not the type of
Right.
person I'm going to let ruin my day. And we really will be okay. You don't
Yeah.
have to take what everyone says in, just, it doesn't matter.
Totally. I had to get to the point where like, I had to block the Reddit website on my phone because I would check it obsessively. I literally
Yeah.
would like post a story and then I would run there to make sure they weren't like saying something mean about me. Like, how weird is that? Who does that?
I
But
think
I feel
that's
like getting,
human. I think it's so human in the beginning when you just learn about something and you're like, it brought up insecurities, and that's just the normal human experience. But then I
yeah,
think what you've done a great job of is growing from, like, you could have sat there and you could still be checking and you could still be editing yourself to try to fit a mold. But then the thing about this podcast is then the people that supported you all along and really love you and want the best for you and your family, like, then you're a watered down version of yourself for the people that actually
totally.
do support you.
Totally, totally. Yeah, that was a huge like changing point for me and I think that's part of the reason I feel so excited about this podcast is because it really does feel like taking back like the last step in taking that back, you know? So that's really cool. But the other thing too, I feel like a lot of people probably don't understand like the influencer world in terms of, and I don't know how much we really like want slash should talk about this, but like I know that I have had, and I believe you have had as well, some like really awful experiences with other influencers who like are still in the space. And it is hard for me to not have like bitterness about that. And that is
Yeah.
something that I still feel like I need to like work through and get over because I'm like, it's like you see people perceiving them one way, but you know how they really are, or like what the behind the scenes really is. And I don't know. I don't know how we can talk about that or if we even
I
should, but I feel like it's
Here's the thing for me is that it's always a counterbalance. Like, we've had those experiences. I've definitely had those experiences. But the friendships I've made with you, with my friend Vanessa, with other influencers, like, you have to believe that there's really good people out there. Like, that's
mm,
always helpful to keep in mind. Like, trust you so much. We have a text message thread where, like, I have so many like deep things that I know about you I would never tell anyone. You know what I mean? Vice
yeah,
versa. And then when you see someone or someone treats you in a way where you're like, man, she really did do me dirty. She used me until there was nothing left to use. And then she went on. I think that I really believe in karma, and that really genuinely helps me of like, it is not my job I truly, in my heart, don't even hope for her downfall. Like, I want
yeah,
her to do well. I think that the universe has a way of teaching lessons. And someday, I really believe that that person is going to be able to look back and be like, you know what? That was messed up. Like, what I did to her was messed up. I
yeah,
believe that. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I would rather have like a happy, positive outlook on life and relationships than I would be like, I don't trust anyone. I'm never helping anyone again. I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, I just don't want to have that negative view on, but I also think learn the lesson though, because now I am slower. When I'm
yes,
meeting someone or they're trying to come in the influencer space, like, I am slower about it because I'm like, if I don't take the lesson, then it's going to become my fault. Like, if I keep just giving these people all the access to all the information I know and all the connections I have, it's my lesson to learn that I do have to just be a little bit slower, smarter, more strategic in the way I move.
totally. And I
How about
think
for
that
you?
that has no, I agree. I definitely feel like trusting in karma and
Yeah.
knowing that like as long as I continue to stand in my values and who I am as a person, that's all I need to be responsible for at the end of the day. However, I will say, I will say there is still some stuff that like it's salt and wound for me, and I'm like every time I think about it, I'm like, oh my god, who does that? Like who does that
I
kind of
I mean,
thing?
I think you have that New York in you where you will never forget something. And
Never. Oh no, never.
and I'm like that too, but I think you are just a little more like it burns you in a way that it really sticks with you.
Yeah, I will never forget. Yes, like I wouldn't even say that I always forgive, which is probably not a good thing to admit. I will never forget. Yeah. Maybe that is a New York thing. I don't know. That could be
Well, I
true.
honestly, some of it too is just like growing up and I I definitely spent 1 year in therapy that was so helpful to my life because one thing that I do sometimes is if something happens in a friendship where I really can't stand for the way that she acted or like what she did, I would pull away so fast. Like you show me who you are, I believe it and I pull back. And I think healing myself would be to understand like people do make mistakes. Like absolutely. Are those there are times where you feel like the person did something super malicious and you don't want to be friends with them? Yeah. But sometimes I pull back quickly because it's like I don't have that trust. Like when you lose my trust, you lose me. And I think I need to work on it. I think I need to
See,
work
it's
on
funny.
that.
It's funny you say that because I think I'm almost kind of opposite, and I wonder if that's why it sticks with me so heavily is because like I get like will give you 5 more chances, and I used to, I should say. I definitely
Yeah.
feel like that has improved, but I feel like I came into this space so incredibly trusting that like even when someone would kind of show me their true colors, I'd be like, no, whatever. Maybe they're having a bad day. It's not about me. But then we got to like 3, 4, 5 times, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, this is like actually who you are. Like this is
Yeah.
actually, you're showing me who you are and I need to trust that. I want like, yeah, I don't know. There's got to be a line there of like the middle ground where I guess it's the level of what they do to you, really, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think you can genuinely tell who someone is by the way that they really repeatedly act. I mean, that's the way that we've built trust in our relationship. We both love Anne Julie, Resilient Rascals. Like she's shown
Yep.
us who she is time and time again. Kate Borsato. Like there's all these really great examples of women who we couldn't say a negative thing about, and they are
Yep.
truly who they say they are. So I do feel like there's enough positive examples in both of our lives where we're like, there are influencers that are such good people and they're so genuine. And then I
Absolutely.
just think what happens is it's a really competitive space. And that gets the best of people. Like they're so worried about growing and all of that that they just lose sight of, I think, the way that they would really want to treat people.
Yeah. I think too, I totally agree with you. And I think too, there is an element of like, if you're not seeing someone not even seeing, if you're not sitting with someone face to face and like having to get uncomfortable with like your actions or the way you're treating them, I think it's a lot easier when it's like a virtual, if you will, relationship to be
Mhm.
like, I don't know, like, I really know what I'm trying to say.
I actually get what you're trying to say. I've honestly had this one time, this other woman and I had a little bit of a exchange, and I said, let's jump on a call because I really want to understand where you're coming from, and I want you to be able to understand where I'm coming from. And I was just interviewing this friendship expert yesterday for a podcast, and she said the willingness in a friendship to have conflict is actually a sign of closeness and a sign of like, I really care about this relationship. So, Casey, what you're doing is bothering me, and I just want to talk about it. Where I think for influencers, they're so quick to not say, like, if someone's making you upset, you don't bring it to the person, you just tell two other influencer friends, and then it just gets really chaotic. I just
Yeah.
think if everyone's an adult and like I care about you, so I'm gonna tell you if you're doing something that bothers me and vice versa, that would be a healthier way to operate. But I think influencers sometimes, it truly to me is almost stepping stones. Like people are using each other as stepping stones and maybe they're not doing it purposefully, but that's the way it can really feel. If you don't
Hmm.
bring to them like, hey, this is something I'm seeing and I feel like your content's too close to my content and it
Oh my
doesn't feel
God.
right.
Yeah. Hmm.
For example,
Yeah. No, I
for
totally, I
example.
agree. I totally agree. And I think too, like, I think there's also an element of like, I don't, keyboard warrior is not the right word, but it's almost like the being behind a screen, like not having, it is very different to have a text message exchange with someone versus a
Mhm,
phone call versus sitting face to face with someone and having that conversation. Like I feel like so much can get misinterpreted via text message, your
mhm,
tone,
absolutely.
all of it. Whereas like I think what you're saying is really like not even just friendships, but like the ability in life to
Mhm.
say, like to recognize your hurt and communicate it to whoever the relationship is in an effective way and say like, this is how that made me feel. Maybe that wasn't your intention. I'm sure that wasn't your intention, but like, this is how that made me feel. Maybe I should go for it, you know?
I just think that our generation of women, millennials, like we're so used to people pleasing or trying not to make a big deal of things. And it actually really negatively impacts female relationships when you can't be honest with someone or you can't bring them something that bothers you. And then it's to the demise of the relationship because if you never speak up about something that matters to you, like you start to resent them or you start to have confirmation bias. Like you always see what they're doing that bothers you. And so I do think it's just growing up and being like, you know what, if this relationship actually really matters to me, I would bring it to her
Yeah.
and you're to sort it through.
Yeah. I also, there is an element for me of like, I have to like get something off my chest or it's always in my brain.
Yep.
Carrying it in me is never, it never works for me because I cannot let it go. Like I have to be like, even if it's not received well, I shouldn't say that because I definitely am a people pleaser, but it's like, I know that some of the things that are still sitting not great in my like gut about situations that have happened on social media in the last 5 years are because I haven't like owned them. And part of me is like, I would never do that in a
Yeah.
public space, but like maybe I'll be able to get to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm not even expecting a response, but I just want you to know that like this has really sat with me and that's it. Like I just need to be done with it. I need to like release it, but that feels crazy.
Well, you know, here's the thing about me when we're talking is that I think I've watched too many documentaries of I can't believe how people are so comfortable leaving a trail of text messages, comments in Reddit and otherwise, because that can and will be used against you in a court of law. Like
Yeah.
digital footprint is every single thing. And they can find out that you were the one that bullied, you know,
Yes.
that
Yep.
person.
Yep.
I think about that all the time. I leave no receipts anywhere. I'm not saying a single mean thing ever because the fact that someone could find out, you know what I mean? Like that's just not who I
Yep.
am. But I'm surprised that people will leave these wild comments in public spaces.
I
Um,
know.
it's just
It
that
oh
people are way too comfortable with it.
That's exactly it. I would never do this, but I thoroughly enjoy the petty clapbacks when someone like really publicly goes for you in like a comment section and when people like make it like really call them out or like have you seen the ones where they'll find out like where they work and who like what their full name is and they're like, you know, Sandra, you're a 56-year-old woman with 3 grandchildren and you live in blah 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 and you're like why are you spending time
Your
doing this?
bio has a Bible verse in it, honey. Why are you speaking like this
Always
to a
live, laugh,
mom?
love. Yes, at those, I'm like, they give me so much like petty satisfaction because I would never, but I'm like, you know what? Good for you. Like, good for you for taking that. So I guess,
I just am surprised that people don't know that that is the reality of where we are. Like we can find out any single thing about you from your
yes,
username. And so yeah, I just think the way people move is it's just and also why were you comfortable saying that when you thought it was anonymous anyway? Because that really is who you are.
yes, totally. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, is there anything else that you feel like we should touch on?
I mean, the only other thing I think people get really wrong about the influencer world is, in my opinion, they really think it's like the size of the account is really linked to their influence or the amount of money they can make. And I
Oh
have
my
found
God,
in life that is not true.
100%.
It's just a nice little like land to live in where you can fly under the radar. Now you've gotten too big for that. But for me
Yes,
and my account, like that's one thing I love is that it's just you can have a really big impact on people and you can make a really good income and you don't have to have, you know, 750,000 followers. And I think that's a really
totally.
big misconception.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think people like there's so much about the income from a social media based business that is like truly dependent on factors that like so many factors that we can control, but so many factors that we can't. Like
Right.
I might have less story views than someone with, you know, 100,000 followers on some days. Like, could it be an algorithm thing? Sure. Could it just be that what I was sharing wasn't interesting to anyone? Sure. There are so many factors beyond your follower count that you can visibly see like
Well,
there's
the
so much
bigger
happening
you
under the
get, the
surface.
harder it is to keep your engagement up. My friend Nina, who lives in Wisconsin, she said her sweet spot was between 100,000 to 200,000. Like that's when
Which is
the views were
so
the best,
interesting.
the links were the best, the link clicks were the best, everything was the best. And so I think that's a really huge misconception is people think the bigger, the better. Sometimes, and like you did, it's really actually in the beginning focusing on building a community and really having people trust you because you're showing up exactly who you are. You're being super genuine. You know, you're dependable. They like what you're recommending. Building that really solid base. It's like building a house. Like your foundation
Mhm.
has to be so solid that it can handle the growth. Because if the foundation's not there, because to everyone it's like super fast growth is so it's what everyone wants. But
Mhm.
then in all of my years doing this, I can tell you it's not necessarily that you have to grow to such a big number. It's you have to grow wide. You have to grow deep. You have to
Yeah.
have people that really are interested in what you have to share and what you have to say. So that would be my thing for people listening that are starting or wanting to start social media and they think it's such an uphill battle because they see these huge accounts and they think that's the only way to be successful and it's not.
Yeah. No, I think that's very good advice. And I think too that even relates to like people going viral. Like everybody's chasing going viral, but that brings in people that you don't want in
Rip
your
rap.
community.
It
Like,
really
yeah,
does.
that's exactly it. Like it brings in mean comments, it brings in people that are not there for your product. They're there for whatever reason. And like I think that is a big misconception too. Like it's okay if you literally never go viral. It's okay if you have like
Right.
two
Absolutely.
comments because those two comments are your people. Like those are your
Right.
people that are going to show up for you and support you. And I have definitely felt that too. Like I feel like the people that have been with me since like 2020 are like my people. Like
Yeah.
those are like we have gone through some of the hardest stages of motherhood and all of it together like in DMs and like those are my people.
I think treat your followers right, treat your followers with respect, like care about what they have to say, you know, give them more of what they like. And you can build these really cool relationships that go way beyond, you know, surface level, truly. And that's what you're trying to do with the podcast. It's you can make some really cool connections by doing that and by treating people really kindly. And you don't have to be, you know, a viral sensation or have 4 million followers to make a really cool impact.
Totally, totally. And that's the piece too, is the impact piece. I feel like being vulnerable, being willing to be vulnerable about the kind what you're navigating, like your honest truth. I swear to God, I'm not exaggerating when I say like this community, my community that I've been lucky enough to have is like the solidarity has saved me. Like
Mhm.
in so many of the hardest seasons of my life, just like sharing something and someone being like, same. Like I've literally never heard anyone say that. Like that is so powerful. And if you're willing to like be the one broaching those vulnerable topics, I feel like what that gives back to you is like I never would have dreamed, like eh, yeah, I don't know.
I think that's the difference between being the influencer or the podcast host is when you say something, you get to see the DMs. And so, say, for example, the mom rage, or when I was slightly depressed in 2020 and I shared that, to be met with solidarity or your anxiety or whatever it is, I get to see the 200 women that are like, oh my God, thank you so much for sharing that. I was so shameful. I was so embarrassed. I'm going through that too. Like, we're the ones that get to see that. And I try, and I know you try really hard to reflect that back out to the community to be like, you guys are not alone. I know you like all of us get in our head and we can feel that way, but it's never the truth. You're not alone. There's so many other women that are going through really tough things too. So I think I think that's one of the coolest parts of our job is that we're able to say the hard thing, get support, but then give that right back out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that it's like the heart of like to be seen is to be loved. Like to
Yep.
feel like you're not alone is like it's everything, especially cuz this stuff ain't easy. My God. Okay. This was such a good conversation. I hope people enjoyed it. I know we went a lot of different routes, but I hope that that was helpful. And I will put in the episode notes where people can find you, all of the awesome stuff that you have. But thank you so much for being willing to come on here and just kind of chit chat with me. We've never really had like an actual phone conversation. So this is kind of cool. It like, I feel like
Just really long voice notes.
Exactly. It was just like our text message and voice note flow. I love it.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for being here. And I'm sure you'll be back at some point. But we'll see you
Thank you
next
so
time
much for
on
having
More
me.
Than Milestones. Of course. All right, let me